Hello everyone! Welcome to a new episode of Bo's Slow English. In today's episode, I'm going to speak in a moderately normal speed, and the topic today is all about weddings. This was a special request from one of my subscribers. They mentioned that they are a wedding photographer and they are starting to get more American clients. So I thought, wow, that's a really interesting topic. And if they didn't tell me that they wanted me to create a video on this topic, I probably never would have done it. So thank you to whoever you are, whoever put in this request. This video is for you. If we haven't met before, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bo. Hi! Welcome to my channel. I normally speak in slow English, but sometimes I like to change it up, which means I will sometimes go slowly. Sometimes I'll speak in normal speed like this. And sometimes I will speak in moderately normal speed like this. Moderate means in the middle, not slow, not fast, in the middle. Please read the captions at the top. And after every sentence, you can practice your speaking skills by pressing pause, read the caption with the same tone and speed in which I spoke it. This will help you to build more confidence in your speaking abilities, especially when speaking to a native English speaker. Before we get started on today's lesson about weddings, I want to make a quick announcement. I finally finished my very first ebook. Hooray! I'm so excited. It took me about 1 week to get this book finished. I'm very proud of myself. In fact, I'd like to pat myself on the back. Do you know this saying? To pat yourself on the back? It means that you are proud of yourself. And the full version of this book has 90 phrasal verbs, such as get up, lay down, wake up. There's a morning routine category. I also have going to the doctor's office, like check in, look over. I also have transportation category, travel category, many categories, 9 of them. So if you'd like to sound like a native English speaker, you absolutely have to know phrasal verbs. I use phrasal verbs every single day, maybe even every sentence. I know I use it in my videos, and this is how Americans speak, so you have to know this. If you do not want to purchase the full workbook, you can download the free version, which has just the morning routine category and the 10 phrasal verbs, as well as some games and exercises. The full version, however, has a special QR code that has a link to a private YouTube video where I go over all 90 phrasal verbs. I also will read the mini conversations that are in each of the sections. Louis always has to make an appearance. And of course, I have moved on to my next project for this week, which is gathering my course material, because I will be hosting an 8-week speaking course. I'm only allowing 6 students so that it gives everyone an opportunity to speak and so that I have some time to correct them. We will go over how to introduce yourself, how to speak to friends. My goal with this course is for you to feel really confident when you have to speak to a native English speaker. So stay tuned for more info on that. It's going to be one time per week for 8 weeks, and I'm really excited. And down below, there is a join button. If you would like to be a part of my community, my membership, please click the join button to become a member. I have private messages on there just for my members. You also have access to all of these videos in advance before it goes out to the public. And I'm also going to post some short lessons that is not going to be available to the public. So if you're interested in that, click join. Also, please click like to show your support and click subscribe so we can be friends. All right, let's talk about weddings. First, we can talk about before the wedding. And this is traditionally how it is in America, but perhaps other countries as well. Engagement. Engagement is when a couple is 2 people, one of them proposes to the other. Propose is you present a ring, you get down on one knee, and you say, "Will you marry me?" So after the person who got proposed to says, "Yes," now they are officially engaged, and this is called an engagement. Let's talk about bride and groom, or partner or couple. Nowadays, the couple may be called bride and groom, or bride and bride, or groom and groom. After the engagement, if there's a couple that wants to be very traditional, they may throw an engagement party. When I say throw a party, I mean that they are hosting a party. This is simply to celebrate their union and that they are in the first stages of starting their lives together. An engagement party might be at one of the couple's houses. It may also be at a venue, which is not at a house, it's at a business. A venue usually is a large space that may have tables, chairs. They might even have staff available, such as caterers and servers. So it really depends on how extravagant of a party they like to throw. It could be at the venue or it could be at someone's house. Do you know the word extravagant? Extravagant is usually like, wow, it's fancy, it's lavish, which is like expensive. I've actually never been to an engagement party. I don't think a lot of people do those types of parties anymore. I know when I got engaged, I did not have an engagement party. Some people may do engagement photos. Engagement photos means that you hire a professional photographer and you pick a location, usually somewhere with a nice scenery, and they have you do very traditional wedding type poses where you hold each other, you hold their hand. It's a little cheesy in my opinion. Cheesy means that it's a little fake. It might mean that they're trying too hard. And I think these days a lot of people don't do engagement photos anymore, just like they don't really do the engagement parties, because they are probably saving money to throw their actual wedding and to hire a wedding photographer, because all of that can get very expensive. After a couple gets engaged, they will start to research where to get married and when to get married. And some people will get married abroad, which means outside of their country, because number one, it might actually cut their cost down, meaning that the overall cost of the wedding could be less because less people might fly out to another country for their wedding. Some people may want to get married abroad because it is a once in a lifetime celebration. So they go all out. This is air quotations. All out means that they don't hold back on the cost. They don't hold back on anything, and they put everything into this, their time and energy and their money. Once the couple has established the date and location, they will then send something called Save the Date. Save the Date is an invitation. It is usually sent through regular mail. In the US, regular mail is called USPS, which is United States Postal Service. Although a lot of people send emails, most people will send a formal physical card, and then the people who receive this Save the Date may put the card on their refrigerator with a little magnet on it to hold the Save the Date card on the fridge. On the Save the Date, it will say where the venue is and the date. This is not where the recipient or the person who received the card will RSVP, which means they confirm or they decline. This is just simply, hey, mark your calendar because we are getting married and don't make any plans. Because after the Save the Date is the wedding invitation that will go out. I don't know how far out, maybe like 8 to 12 months out. And with the wedding invitation, that's when you will RSVP if you're coming or not. Excuse me, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Depending on how detailed the wedding is going to be, a couple may hire a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator. And wedding planners have a very difficult job, in my opinion, because they are dealing with a lot of moving parts. Dealing with means that they are given the responsibility of something and they have to handle it. Have you ever heard of the term Bridezilla? This is a term where you combine the word bride and Godzilla and it turns into Bridezilla. So when there is a bride who is really annoying and has a lot of demands, they are called a bridezilla. And wedding coordinators and planners, unfortunately, have to deal with bridezillas. Wedding planners tend to be expensive because of all the responsibilities that they have. Earlier, I said the idiom, a lot of moving parts. This means that all of the tasks that they are assigned to do require a lot of detail, focus, and organization. So this is what you can call a lot of moving parts. Before the wedding, about a few days before, or maybe a few weeks before, there is usually a bachelorette or bachelor party or weekend. And this is where the bride, who is the bachelorette, gets to celebrate her last night of being single. Single means not married. And then the groom has his bachelor party, and this is where he gets to celebrate being single for the last time. A traditional place where someone may go for a party like this is Vegas or Las Vegas. Some people may go to Austin, Texas, because it's a very fun and newly developed city. Some people may go to Miami, Florida. They may go to the lake, like Lake Tahoe, or they might go camping, like in Yosemite or Yellowstone. It really depends on what the bride or groom wants to do. And what's really weird is the bridal party or the groom's party, all the friends have to pay for a lot of it instead of the bride or the groom. The people who usually come to these events, it's the people in the bridal party. So that's for the bride side, there's the maid of honor, which is usually the closest family member that is normally female, or it could be a very good or best friend. And then there's all the bridesmaids. And then for the groom side, the person who has the closest relationship with them, whether it's their brother, because usually it is a male, or maybe it's their best friend, they are called a best man. And then the rest of the party on the groom's side would be the groomsmen. On the day of the wedding, the bridal party may get a hotel room to get ready. And the photographer will usually be present for this event because many people will want to get images or photos captured while they are getting their makeup done, their hair done, maybe drinking some champagne and celebrating. And same for the men. The photographer may go over to the groom's hotel room to take photographs of the men getting ready for the big day. A lot of people will hire a hair and makeup artist. I used to do this when I was 19 years old. I was so young. I don't even know how I knew what I was doing at that age, but I did the hair, I styled the hair, I curled the hair, I blow dried the hair, and I also brought my makeup kit and I did the bride's makeup as well as the whole bridal party. And this allowed me to make a little extra cash. I just realized I'm holding this lotion in my hand because my hands are so dry right now and I need to use this. The bride usually wears a wedding gown or wedding dress, while the groom will usually wear a tuxedo, but I usually call it a tux. And as soon as the bride and the groom are all done getting ready, and shortly before the actual ceremony, they will meet somewhere, maybe in a nice hotel lobby or in a nice garden. The photographer will join them, and then they will do something called first look photos. This is all very traditional stuff. When I got married, I had a very non-traditional type of wedding. First look photos are just like how you expect it to be. It's the first look. It's the first time the bride and the groom see each other all done up or all dressed up, and the photographs are meant to be very sweet and maybe a little bit emotional. The photographer will do their best to direct the couple to look very natural in their poses, and a good word to teach you here is the photos look candid, which means that they look natural and not planned. So now it's time for the ceremony. All the guests have arrived. They are sitting usually wherever they would like to sit, because there aren't usually assigned seats for the actual ceremony. There's usually a band or an orchestra or somebody playing music, which then signals that it is almost time for the ceremony to start. Usually the groom is already at the front, standing in front of the altar, and behind him will be the best man and then his groomsmen. And once they're all lined up, in the back is the bride. The bride will be linking arms with either their father or mom or anyone who is very close to them, and they will start to walk down the aisle. Do you know the traditional wedding song? Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. In your country, what is your traditional wedding song? Let me know in the comments. So everyone, all the guests will rise, which means they stand up. Stand up is a great phrasal verb. And they watch the bride walk slowly down the aisle. But actually, before the bride comes out, the bridal party will come out first. And actually, I made a mistake. The groom will not have his best man and groomsmen behind him just yet, because right before the bride comes out, the maid of honor and best man will walk down the aisle together, and then the bridesmaid and the groomsmen will walk down together, and usually there is an equal number of bridesmaids and groomsmen walking down the aisle together. Then we have the bride. The bride will meet at the front, standing in front of the groom. And in front of the bride and groom is the ordained minister. The ordained minister is the person who is legally allowed to marry a couple. And this could be a friend, or it could be a professional that they hired. I actually have my ordained minister license, However, I've never used it before. Nobody has asked me to marry them. So if you want me to marry you and your fiance, let me know. I would love to. This is the part that's a little bit boring, especially if the ordained minister has a lot to say. But usually nowadays, they cut that part a little bit shorter and they will exchange vows. The bride and groom will exchange vows, which means that they say basically why they love the other person and why they want to marry them. And then the other person will say it to them in their own words. Then they will exchange rings. Sometimes there is a ring bearer who will bring the ring down. And by the way, there's also a cute flower girl sometimes. It's a young girl that has a basket of flowers and they throw the petals on the side of the aisle. I forgot about them. After the rings have exchanged, that means that the ceremony is coming to an end, and the ordained minister will say, "You may now kiss the bride." Something like that. I'm sure you've all heard of this before in movies. After they kiss, then they will walk down the aisle. Everyone will stand back up and they will cheer, "Ah, congratulations, woo!" After they have walked down the aisle, the guests will then have to find where to go next. At this point, there will be assigned seats, and the tables are probably round so that it's easy to have conversations with each other. Everyone always dreads the moment where you have to find out where you're sitting, just in case you don't want to sit next to someone that you don't want to talk to for several hours. Do you know the word dread? Dread is the anticipation of what will happen in the future with a negative feeling about it. So now the dinner or the meal, this is the fun part because people get to mingle, which means that they hang out with each other, they get to eat, they get to drink. Sometimes there's a photo booth area where they hire a photo machine to take fun photos, and you might wear some props like big glasses and big hats. And the wedding photographer will be walking around and taking more candid photos of everyone having a great time. Then, shortly after, the bride and groom will walk out together and everyone will cheer because they're officially married. They would have changed their outfit into something that is more comfortable but still nice and formal, and something that they can probably dance in. There will be music. There's just a lot of fun. There might be the first dance. They might cut the cake together. All of these things are very traditional. With that said, would you like to know how I got married? It's a very different experience, and I will make it short. My husband and I got engaged in Greece, and then we waited many years to get married. We got married not too long ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, and we hired a wedding photographer. They met us at a courthouse. It's a beautiful courthouse in the United States. We had zero guests. We only had the minister, the ordained minister, marry us, and the photographer took a lot of beautiful photos. And then afterwards, my husband and I went to a sandwich shop, and that was it. The night before, we stayed at a hotel near the courthouse, and we explored that area and had fun. I did my own hair, I did my own makeup. I was very sick, actually. I've never been so sick in my life. I had some sort of viral infection, and it turned absolutely terrible on the day of the wedding. But somehow, the photographer was still able to capture great lighting, and I looked okay. I didn't look sick. So I just wanted to share that with you because there's different ways of celebrating a marriage, and I did it the extremely non-traditional, least expensive way, and then there's the extravagant, lavish way as well. I love getting invited to weddings because it's always a good time. I hope you learned something from this lesson. It's a very random lesson, but I think it's super helpful. Send me some other ideas of topics that you would like for me to talk about. And please share this with any of your friends or fellow students or classmates. And I will see you next time. Bye.